epiphany, my moment was May the 24th, 1979, Newcastle City Hall. Judas Priest, Killing Machine tour. And, as I'm looking at the stage from my left-hand side, blonde guitarist, leathers, flying V, runs on the stage. I was KK down. That was it. Now, the thing was, when that show finished and I was walking out of the City Hall and all I could hear was "Stand by for Exciter," that was all that was going through my head. I was like, bah! And I had to do that. It was like, I want to do that. I want to do that. But how do you do that? What are these guys doing now? Where are they now? It was like, and then you realize years later when you're doing it yourself, they are sitting in a dressing room going,
you had the look. You looked like him back then too.
Honestly, Stefan, it was blatant. I make no apologies for it whatsoever. I mean, this is whatever's left of it. That's my natural hair color. But I went straight to the chemist. I bought a bottle of bleach, and much to the dismay of my parents when I walked down the stairs, and I went to the music store and I got it was a wine red Flying V. It was a copy. We couldn't afford Gibsons, it was a brand called CSL, and even then my parents had to finance it for me, But the whole look, everything, it was modeled on KK, And the thing was, when was it? It was 2016, I think. We were in Australia anyway, and then we went over to New Zealand to do some shows. And there was a friend in New Zealand who was a journalist who knows KK really well. So after the show, we get back to the hotel, and he went, "You've got a phone call." I was like, "Really?" And he went, "Yeah." And he went like, "Hey, yeah, he's here, yeah." And he went, "KK down," and he handed me the phone. I'm like, holy shit! Now I've never, a massive fan, and obviously he was my moment. And never met the guy, never spoke to him, So straight away, all the fanboy blurb just came out, But he then said his moment was Jimi Hendrix, So everybody has a moment. Everybody has a moment, Jimi Hendrix would have had a moment. Whoever influenced Hendrix would have had their moment, And I've had people, like younger bands or even our peers coming up and going, "Without you, man." And when I'm standing in that position, I'm going, really? Thank you. It's like, I don't know what to say, it's so strange. But I mean, all those early fond memories of late 70s, early 80s.
Everybody, don't touch that dial. It's that ultimate intimate conversation with your favorite artist. We got Jeff Dunn here of Venom Inc. He's in the house, new music, all that good stuff. It all starts now. Bam. Hey! Did influence a lot of bands, but it all is really rock and roll. When we talk about the influence in Kiss, they're a rock and roll band. You're really a rock and roll guy. And when you really listen to these bands, it's all rock. It's only rock and roll, and we like it. But Venom, man, a very important band. And especially the new wave of British heavy metal, I guess you'd call it, out there. Mm-hmm. You had, and you think about, I don't even think they're a heavy metal band, but, back then, Def Leppard was, from that, Maiden, right? Yeah. You think about these bands, but it was Venom who really, you reinvented. I mean, when people think of Venom, they'll think of the devil worshippers and all that crazy stuff. But, it's not like that, but you're a band who influenced people like Metallica. One thing I want to say, before we get started, Venom Inc. is back, mm-hmm. And also you got new music out. You have vinyl. You even got you went Kiss on me. You got splattered vinyl, gold splatter. What do you got going on right now?
Oh, there's all kinds of good stuff coming out. I mean, I think it's also coming out on, all retro cassette, everything, we're going the whole 9 yards with this. There's only black and black. The reviews have been stunning. I'm getting reviews through all the time, and I'm reading them going, wow. And never, never in a million years expected any of that, because the first album we did in 2015, Ave, it got great reviews. I mean, you know, I was in New York playing at the Gramercy Theatre, and Michael Alago came down to see us, and he was like, "Wow, what an album! My album of the year!" And I was like, "Holy shit!" That, you know, that did it for me. And then the reviews for Ave were great. There was a lot of people saying it was another classic Venom album. I was like, "Wow, okay." And then, you know, the book I'm writing, there's a chapter in the book called The Dreaded Second Album. And I think it's true to say that every band who has an influential or successful or whatever you want to call it first album, which we did when we released Welcome to Hell, 81, you know, it, for whatever reason, I don't know, but it set the world on fire, you know, and everybody was talking about Venom at that point, you know, right place, right time. And when it came to the second album, you know, I've heard a lot of stories of artists who the need to follow that first album. It's got to be just as good or better or whatever. And the thing is, don't force it. Don't force it. Just be you and do what you do, and it'll happen. And that's what we did. But we did that for the second album, Black Metal, which again exploded and created the genre and all that kind of stuff.
What was it, 1982, right? Black Metal?
That was 82, yeah. I mean, we, as Venom Inc. at the moment, we are doing 40th anniversary Black Metal shows where we're playing the full album from start to finish. Where it's next, when is it? October the 1st, we're in Germany, and we're doing a recreation of the 1984 Hammersmith show. It's the full stage set, everything, the same set list, the whole 9 yards. You know, it's going to be so much fun. It's going to be a total nostalgia trip.
Very cool, very cool. Because that's what people want to. They want that. They don't want that memory. They want to go back.
You know what it is? We got asked to do that, and then off the back of that, we had another load of festivals came in. Alcatraz in Belgium, they came in and went, "Could we have this 40th anniversary show?" And we were like, "Well, no, we're going to do this." So I was like, "Okay, let's do it." So we got a prime spot at 10:30 at night. We had an amazing light show, all the stage set, the whole 9 yards, and it was chosen from the festival as one of 2 sets. I can't remember who the other band was, but it was this other band, and us were chosen to represent Alcatraz that year on TV. And then I get a phone call from a friend in Germany who says, "I've just watched your full show on German TV. Wow, that's great." And then Bloodstock came in from England. Can we have it? And then we've got Finland, Sweden, Norway. They've all come in, all off the back of this announcement of this 1984 Hammersmith Odeon show. But like I was saying, you know, going for the second album, I think back then when we did Black Metal, especially for me as, you know, probably the main songwriter in those early days, I didn't even think about it. You know, there wasn't that there. It was still all youthful bullshit and bluster, you know, and arrogance and this and that. And we didn't feel a part of the new wave of British heavy metal at all. We felt on the outside, you know, and we always wanted to alienate and individualize ourselves. That's why we said we're black metal, you know. It was like, we're not Bon Jovi, we're not this, we're not that. And then when it comes to doing the second album for Venom Inc., then I felt pressure, because as you get older, you get more experienced in your songwriting, and you get more, you should get more experienced on your instrument, studio techniques, all that kind of thing. So as the guy who was mixing and mastering the new album, I really had to pull everything back, and I wanted it stripped back so you could hear everything that was going on. And one of the best reviews of the production has gotten really good reviews across the board, but one of the best reviews said, "This sounds like a live band just in a room." I was like, job done. That's great. But the other thing I've said was it would be lovely. It would be really nice to get back to that naivety that I had back then when I was writing songs. You know, Paul Stanley will never write another Strutter. He'll never write another Come On and Love Me. You look at it, look at how his songwriting progressed through the 80s. Tears Are Falling. That just melts me every time I hear, Reason to Live. Oh, unbelievable. He probably wouldn't have wrote those back in the early 70s when he was just all rock and roll and everything like that, and when I think of the songs that I did back then, like Welcome to Hell and freaking black metal, Countess Bathory, Angel Dust. The first song I ever wrote was Red Light Fever. And all those songs on those albums was my first attempts at writing. There was no rewrites, there was no rearranging, there was nothing, there was no Pro Tools, there was no Logic.
No, it was raw. It was raw. It
was a 24-track tape. And I can't remember which song it is. I think it's on Welcome to Hell. It might actually be Red Light Fever. But you actually hear some other piece of music before we kick into the track. And that's because that 24-track tape was secondhand. It was written, Welcome to Hell was recorded on a second-hand 24-track. So we were recording over somebody else's shit. It was just, and that's the way it was back then. But if I came up with those riffs now, they would go straight in the delete bin. I would go,
because you overthink it.
That back. You overthink it. You do. Yeah, you do. But I mean, what's happened with the new album, There's Only Black, is it's like every time you put something out like that, and I mean, Arve predominantly was all my music, and a lot of my lyrics, and then Tony came to Portugal over here. We finished off any lyrics that we needed. We worked. And he did all the recording of his vocals and bass here. This time it was a pandemic album. So Jeremy recorded in Tampa, Tony recorded in London, and he actually wrote 6 songs for this album. I wrote 6 songs. We actually wrote 12 each, so there's 24 songs for the album. But I sent a list of what I considered to be the strongest 12. The other guys went, yeah, great. We love those as well. So for that year, we decided, well, we're not going to get anywhere now because in 2020, our first show was scheduled for February and it was Beijing. And we all know what happened. And it's sort of, when you put these songs out there, you bare your soul to people. And it's like, well, this is the best I can do with this. I've always said, I always do the best I can possibly do at any one given moment in time, right?
Yeah.
This might not be the best I can do tomorrow, but it's the best I can do right now, and I think that's a good mindset to have. But ultimately, when the fans hear it.
Well, you know what? I'm going to put links for our fans to check it out right now because the new album is out September 23rd. Also, I'm looking at the link. Pre-save, pre-ed the album now to be in with a chance to win a bundle of prizes from the band, including, I love this, stickers, patches, a Ouija board, and so much more. A Ouija board. And you could find all this. You could pre-order a save on your favorite platform. It's on Nuclear Blast Records, Amazon, Spotify, Apple Music, and you could pre-order all this. I'm right here on the link, a Ouija board. That's Is it a Venom logo on the board? No.
I'm not. You know what it is? I'm not sure. I think there's something special about it.
Searching for salvation.
And the thing is, the album, it was meant to be called one of the other songs. I'm not saying which one, but we had an idea for one of the other songs to be the title track, and there was ideas for artwork and stuff like that. And then I sent Tony this song and I said, I've got sketchpad lyrics. I'll finish it all off. I says, but it's basically all about my experience and it's called There's Only Black. And I got a message straight back going, that's it. That's it. We'll go with that. And it's like, because that was my experience of it. It was like, no conversations with your God or the devil, no pearly gates, no infernos of hell. I speak the truth. There's only black.
There's only black.
And that was it. It was boom, lights out.
So that's from the time. It's from your experience, what you just dealt with, huh? That period.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talked about it on the show before, but since we're talking about it right now, when you had that attack, there was nothing, huh? You didn't see it. You don't remember anything when you had it. Tell the audience a little about this right now.
Basically, the condensed version. I had been having chest pains for quite a while, and we had been on tour. And every night on stage, probably because of the excitement or whatever, you know. But I was getting these in the first 3 or 4 songs. I was in agony every night, and we'd done 30 shows, I think it was, back to back in the States, and then we flew to Germany to do a festival. Now, as I was waiting to go on in Germany, the house lights went down and the intro tape started, and then you hear the audience, obviously, and I dropped to my knees. Went down, you know, went on, did the show, right? After that, for whatever reason, the pains subsided, and I was fine for a couple of months. And then we went to Australia, Japan. I mean, it was 7.5 weeks. We ended up in Europe. We did basically 7.5 weeks of non-stop. I think we had 2 days off in 7.5 weeks. Come back, and I remember on a Sunday evening, I was standing in the garden. I had done a little bit of work in the garden, standing in the garden, looking at it, thinking, well, that's good. 3 o'clock Monday afternoon, I was dead at the roadside in the next village. The pains was unbelievable when I went to... We had to go to the pharmacy. I was drinking this Gaviscon stuff. I thought I had indigestion. Stupid. And then it got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then the ambulance was called. The paramedics said, we really need a doctor to deal with this. Luckily, there was a doctor on call in the area. Otherwise, that was it. I was gone. And I remember my girlfriend came to the side of the ambulance and she just popped her head in and she said, how are you feeling, babe? And I was like this. And I went, actually, I think the pain's gone. And that was it. Gone. She said my head rolled back, my eyes fell back. And she was dragged away by 2 elderly Portuguese women. And then basically the ambulance was rocking backwards, forwards for, I was gone for just over 5 minutes, I think it was. But when I came round, that was when the weird things happened. I'm just going to plug you in because...
Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, when I came round, that was when there was some weird things happening. And I said, I felt really cold and... I looked down in my lap and there was like this vortex just spinning, and it got faster and faster until it just went. And then there was things I said to Anita, and she was like, babe, that never happened. That didn't happen. I heard my own voice. I heard my angry voice. Fight, don't you give in, fight. She said, I didn't hear anything. You never said anything. And what was seconds for me was a full day. When she followed the ambulance down to the hospital, they couldn't find me for 4 hours. They didn't know where I was. They didn't even register me at the desk. They took me straight through the surgery to try and introduce stents. They tried to go in through my wrist, but they couldn't do it. So I was basically kept alive for about 2.5 weeks between 2 hospitals, and then transferred to the main heart hospital in Lisbon, and I had a double bypass. So I've got a nice scar down there. That was a less than pleasant experience, I'll tell you right now. But
it was.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Every day I'm grateful. Every day I am absolutely grateful to be here still on this planet. Every day above ground is a good day, believe you me. But it screwed me up mentally. Whatever happened when I was gone, something didn't come back with me. And I don't feel the same. I haven't done since it happened.
Something didn't come back. So were you You think maybe was there an angrier guy before that you left over there? Do you feel? What do you when you say something
I
didn't
think
come
that
back?
do you know what it is? I honestly think there was. I think I've lost maybe a bit of mental fortitude. Mental strength. Something like that. And I mean, I know I really should. I really should go and talk to somebody about this. Some professional, I suppose. But there isn't a day goes by where my subconscious doesn't fling me back into that ambulance, and I relive the whole thing. And this is over 4 years now, and honest to God, or whatever, there isn't a single day that it hasn't happened. True story. And I think this happened after I'd spoke to you, and when John was on, and I can't remember, what was your doctor friend called again? What was his name?
Gary Forsman, Dr.
Yeah.
G.
Yeah, Dr. G, that's the one. That's how I knew him. After I spoke to you guys, I'm sure it happened after I spoke to you guys, we were driving about 20 minutes north just to see friends. And the freeways are really quiet over here. Nobody uses them. So we're in the car, we're driving. And like I say, it's a 20-minute drive. Maybe it's even shorter. And we're just driving along, and there was no conversation in the car. We were just being quiet, and Anita was looking out the window. I was just driving. And then all of a sudden, right inside my head, in my ears, there was a voice. You shouldn't be here. And I literally was like, and Anita went, what's the matter with you? I went, you're not going to believe this. And that is as true as I'm sitting here. Where the hell that came from, I do not know. I do not know. And do you know what it is, Stefan? Because my friend from Necrophagia, Killjoy, he died of a heart attack before me. We got the news of his death when we were on the European tour before I had mine. The photographer on the European tour had a heart attack after me. Both of those, either side of me, both died. They couldn't save them. And it makes me question, why? I did die, but they got me back. It might sound crazy, but I now believe there's a plan for everybody. I used to. I believe in the law of attraction and destiny and fate and all that kind of stuff. Life is cyclic. Everything comes round and around and around. You're offered opportunities, not maybe on a daily basis, but you've got to recognize them. I don't believe there's coincidence. I believe deja vu. When you go somewhere and you go, wow, I think I've been here before. I believe in all that. I don't believe in angels on fluffy clouds. I don't believe in devils with little horns and tails and stuff like that. And I've said it a million times. There's a track on the album called Man as God. Man as God. And that's what we are. We are the gods on this planet. We are the demons on this planet. We can determine what goes on. And I've said this countless times that the human race, the human animal, is capable of the most benevolent kindness, of ultimate love and caring for its fellow being. It can also be the most despicable piece of shit on this planet. You turn on the news channel and you see it every day. And that's real. That's real darkness. And that's what we talk about on the new album.
That was Jeff Dunn. And if you want to see more of this interview, just make sure you click on the box right up there. It'll pop up in about 5 seconds. But until then, everybody, it's only rock and roll, and we like it. Now get out of here, you crazy kids. But before you get out of here, make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe and leave your comments down below. Who loves you, baby? We do.